Hey everybody, Luke here. I've got my second battle report while I'm on vacation in New Hampshire. I had the fortune of playing my father-in-law, who has a dwarf army here. Never really played the dwarves, but I knew that they were probably going to sit back and let me come to them. So I rolled up a cavalry heavy army, wanted to try Blood Knights again and try Black Knights and see how they went together. So I've got kind of a quick moving army, wanted to see how that would do. We actually ended up playing Warhammer outside on the deck today, so this was the view from right behind us. It was just gorgeous, and I might actually be the first Warhammer nerd to get a sunburn while playing Warhammer, so I thought that was pretty cool. So we grabbed anything we could. You can see the forests we're using there on the board are actually just potted plants from near the garden. The rock is an idol of Gork, and pretty much everything else doesn't really matter that you see on the board in terms of terrain. The building in the middle is just a straight-up normal building, and there were some other things, but they didn't really come into play. So we got meeting engagement. I'm right on the line. I have second turn. I have nothing held in reserves, and the dwarf player has his bolt thrower in reserve. Just another view of what it looks like. So here's his units. On the far flank over here, he has, I believe these are hammers, and they have their BSB with them. Up on the hill, he has a cannon. These are Longbeards down here with, I think that's his Thane. Yeah, it was his general, his Thane right there. Then over here he has he's using that cannon as a grudge thrower. He actually only has really cannon models right now, but that's a grudge thrower. And then next to them are quarrelers, and there's a runesmith in there with them. And like I said, there's another cannon model which will show up, and that's his bolt thrower. So looking at my army, on this far flank, he had to deploy first, so I got to pick what I wanted. I decided to send the Blood Knights and the Vargheists right over on that flank, so those guys will go quick over there. I've got, you can see I'm proxying some Crypt Horrors for Vargheists. Got 20 ghouls, skeletons, 32 I think, maybe 31, and the Necromancer's in there. Level 1 Necromancer, they have the Screaming Banner. Then I've got 5 dogs, and I've got 10 Black Knights, and my mounted Combat Lord Vampire. He's a level 3 with vampires. He's a pretty good Combat Lord, and I'm using that little wood elf pony because I don't have a mounted vampire model. Then there's 5 more dogs. So I've got those guys right next to the idol so I can reroll charge distance if I need to. Guess just another picture of the same. We go into dwarf turn 1. So the dwarves move forward just a little bit. I think these are the only 2 units that actually moved forward. His bolt thrower comes on the table. And during shooting, let's see, I don't have good pictures of all this. Yeah, there we go. The Longbeards throw their axes and kill 2 dogs. Some of these you don't see in the pictures of quarrelers. They shoot at the Blood Knights, but I make my saves. The cannon shoots and kills 2 Black Knights. I'm aiming for my lord, but I made my lookout, sir. We ruled that the bolt thrower probably couldn't shoot because it just moved and showed up on this turn, but we weren't really sure. But that's how we ruled it. And then the grudge thrower shot and killed a Vargheist. I don't have a picture of that. You'll see that as we go forward. So Vamp turn 1, I move my dogs just to kind of get in the way of those hammers. Over here, I make my charge with the remaining dog. I don't know if there were 2 at that time. Looks like there was 1. Oh, that's right. I charged my dog in. He did a stand and shoot. I charged them first, so he would shoot them. He killed 1 dog, and then I followed up with a charge from my knights. So they charged in, and they're going to hit those Longbeards pretty good. Just moved up with the skeleton group, and the ghouls are going to go into the building and pop out the other side. Over here, you can see I'm missing 1 Vargheist because it got killed by the grudge thrower. And while I was charging in, I figured my Blood Knights were safe with their big armor save and with the banner, but he actually shot, and I missed my ward save and killed a Blood Knight on the way in. So I probably should have charged first with the Vargheists, but you know, you live and you learn. So that's it for movement. You can see I've actually lost down there. I think that's where I was marking that I lost one of the knights and one of the dogs. It didn't just happen there, though. During Magic, it was 8 dice to 6. It was actually like 9 to 5, and he has a banner that's constantly taking one of my power dice to make it a Dispel die. He dispelled Invocation of Mehek from my Necro, and then I failed to cast Hellish Vigor on my knights, and then he was able to dispel Van Hell, so I didn't really get anything off. During close combat, let's see, we've got the Vargheists fly in and kill 4, The Black Knights kill 5. And the Rune Lord, there were no challenges or anything like that. I don't have like a upgraded Kesselin, so he didn't have to. The Rune Lord stepped up and he actually had the Blade of Shining, I think, Blade of Shining Death, which means no armor save. So he was going to probably kill 2 Blood Knights right there, and he just whiffed, rolled a 1 and a 2 to hit on both of them, and he was just beside himself, upset about that. And then I killed a couple more with stomps, and they break. I think I won combat by like 10 or 11 or something, and then they broke, and they stopped just like literally half an inch from the table, and I couldn't catch them. Both the units rolled 5, I think they rolled 7 or something like that, and so my guys are standing right there, couldn't kill them, and they're going to stick for the next turn. Going over here, I had some pretty bad rolling, but with the overall group. But I didn't challenge with my vampire, but he challenged with his general, and his general had a 1-up armor save rerollable, but I had put a lance on my combat vampire, so I felt confident. I accepted with the combat vampire. I had Red Fury and Quick Blood, and I barely killed him, but I did. He missed a couple armor saves, and with Red Fury helping out, I did the 3 wounds necessary. And what ended up working out well for me there, besides killing the general, is that the general had all the runes of dispelling and everything. So my magic phase opens up after this pretty well. He kills 2 knights, but I think, like I had got there, I've done 3 wounds and then killed 5 off the back. But they're steadfast, and so they stuck. So we go to Dwarf turn 2. There's not a lot of movement. I think the War Machines pivot so they can shoot what they want to shoot. Down the line here, his dudes rally right off the edge of the board. They rally so they don't go off the edge of the board, and we're going to have another combat there. During shooting, the bolt thrower, which is facing the camera on the far right side there, has the Master Rune of Skewering, so he has a 2+ hit, and he shoots down the line of the Vargeists and kills 2 Vargeists, and on the third one actually does, like, I think 1 or 2 wounds, but it's still up. So that was a good shot. His cannon goes to shoot down there too and actually misfires. If he doesn't have a Master Engineer, he only has an Engineer, so he does reroll, but it just can't fire this turn. It doesn't blow up or anything. Then his Grudge Thrower, near the bottom of the screen, there's no picture of this, but it lands a good shot on the ghouls and does, I think 8 or 9 got killed from it. It was pretty good. That's just showing that, I guess I had a picture of it. 2 of the Vargeists died, and then some wounds carried over. He did charge in with his warriors to kill the dogs, and kills them handily. I don't do anything. I don't say, there's no save or anything. So he just reforms and is ready to join in the combat on the side. The Longbeards, I think it looks like they did 2 wounds here. That's what I have in my notes. I killed a few, but my vampire didn't roll very well, even with Red Fury and all that. So combat was a tie. He was still steadfast, and he stuck around. So we go to vampire turn 2. I tried charging the Quarrelers. Let's see if I have a picture of that. Charge them both. Charge with the Vargeists first this time, I think, and I don't believe he did a wound with a stand and shoot. Over here, I moved the skeletons, as you can see, and then moved the Crypt Ghouls into the building, as you can see. So that's just another picture of what it looks like. During Magic, it's 6 dice to 6 die, and because he steals 1 from me. But I actually did really well here. He tried to dispel Invocation of Nehek, and I was able to. This is a picture after combat, but I was able to regrow 4 ghouls and 4 knights, as well as 1 dog behind him, which was pretty great. And then he had a few dice left and just couldn't dispel. He just was kind of behind and rolling poorly. So I got Van Hels off on the knights and Hellish Vigor off on the knights as well. So they were re-rolling everything, and it wasn't the turn they charged, so that really helped out quite a bit. I think the vampire ended up killing 9 himself, and then we just reformed, as you can see here. We ended up wiping him out after the Black Knights killed the rest and reformed, so we're going to be ready to either accept a charge and countercharge with those skeletons, or see what happens. But I'm thinking he's not going to. I'm all magic buffed up, at this point, I didn't think he was going to charge in, so I get a charge off on my next turn. Up here, wiped him out, absolutely no problem, except the Rune Lord stepped up with his sword again. He wanted to kill 2 of the Blood Knights, swung at both, no armor saves allowed, and he whiffed again. I think he rolled Snake Eyes, and it was just unbelievable. So I was very happy that he didn't clean up those points, but wiped him out and ran off the board as their frenzied they had to, so they won't come on until next turn. So this is a picture of what the board looks like after combat and reforms. We go into Dwarf turn 3. He doesn't have any movement or magic because he decides not to charge the Knights since they're all, juiced up. During shooting, the cannon misses, unfortunately, and goes right past the Black Knights. The Bolt Thrower hits in the flank and kills 2 of them. And let me see who he's shooting at there. I must not have a good picture of it, but he actually does kill 2. And then the Grudge Thrower aims for the Black Knights as well and just drifts off in front 8 inches. He re-rolled that one, but it just drifted off in the same direction. So nothing happens there combat-wise or magic-wise, just shooting. And yeah, you can see here in this picture I am down 2 Knights, so that was right. Vampire turn 4, I make my charge. This is where we find out he has the Rune of Slowness, but I was pretty close with my Knights, and they're cavalry, so they made their charge anyway, but I wasn't able to get the flank charge with the skeletons because I made the charge, and I didn't make the charge at first, but it was near the Idol of Gork, so I got to reroll, and I did make it, and then his Rune of Slowness allowed him to roll a d6 and subtract it, so I wasn't able to make it. But I moved up there, and hopefully my Knights will stick around, and I can just flank charge if I have to. I did want that static combat res, but, you get what you get. My ghouls moved out of the building, and I put these guys back on the board and totally forgot to move them. As I was a little fuzzy about this, but from reading it, it sounded like they couldn't march, but they could move normally. And unfortunately, I just totally forgot. So during Magic, the game's starting to go pretty quick at this point. It's 9 dice to 7, and I was able to cast Invocation. I threw just a couple dice from the Necromancer, and I got that one through, so he healed 2 Knights back because he was a level 1. Then he dispelled Invocation of Heck from the big vampire. That was what I wanted him to do because I only needed like 1 or 2 more Knights. He dispelled that one, and then he had no more dice, so I was able to get a Van Hels again. I did the Area of Effect one, as in you can see the ghouls have moved up, and the skeletons have moved up, so they're just in a nice juicy flank charge whenever I want. And then I got Hellish Vigor off as well with the last few dice. So those Knights are re-rolling everything again, and everyone's right where I want them for next turn. We go into combat, and the Vampire pasted quite a few of them. There were no challenges or anything. Oh, actually there was a challenge issued, but it was just champion on champion, and everyone whiffed. But the Vampire did very well, and the Knights did pretty well. I lost 2 Knights there. But with the re-rolling and everything, they stuck. I think that unit is actually stubborn, but it didn't matter because they were steadfast anyway. So we go to Dwarf 4, and his cannon kills 1 Vargeist. I wonder if I have a picture of that. Yep, looks like it up here. His cannon kills a Vargeist because no real movement. He does a wound. I don't even know what that says in my notes, so I guess I don't have a good picture of it. This looks like it's pretty much the end of the game. So yeah, on Dwarf turn 4, let's just pretend this is where we are. There's no real shooting that matters. He kills a Vargeist, I know what the notes say now. The notes say it's bouncing off of a Blood Knight, but sadly with the ward save, it doesn't get through, so he doesn't get any points there. But he had a nice flank cannon shot during close combat. Basically, I whittled him down to this. I lost 1 or 2 maybe. I don't remember how many were there, but at the end of the game, I still got all the points for this. The ghouls have... This is my turn now. This is what the end of the game looks like when he conceded. My ghouls were going to make the charge, and they did. He only had about 1 guy left here, his BSB, and this is when I made the flank charge on my final turn. So on his Dwarf turn 5, he didn't end up doing that much, and on Vamp turn 5 is when I just made my charges, and he conceded. It was a fun game. He was a little too spread out, I think. He hasn't really played too much before, but man, there was some good shooting. I think I just got, I kind of knew what to expect in terms of what I wanted to bring. I knew that I wanted to get up there. I knew I needed a combat vampire who could stand up. I knew not to bring a lot of magic because he was going to dispel it. And actually, I ended up killing the guy who had all like the sweet dispelling runes and the things that could burn spells out of my wizard's knowledge. But yeah, it went really well for me, and it was a fun game. I think we're going to play another Dwarf Vampire one here pretty quick, so we'll rework some lists and try some different theme and see what it's like without Blood Knights and Black Knights. Thanks for watching.